Are your in-laws ruining your relationship? Grab your stick, grab your drink. Let's get into this thing right now. What up? What up? What up? It's your boy JB coming at you live and direct, and you know what it is. It's the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. I'm the real cigar Jeff, man. All my information is below, man. Y'all do me a favor as soon as you come into the building. Mash that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications because we got a banger tonight. All your in-laws ruining your relationship, and y'all know it's another family affair edition, and y'all know who I got with me. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell y'all what she's sipping on tonight.
Thanks, JB, for having me back. What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? It's been a long day. Uh, Tonight, I got a beautiful drink. Look at this glass. This glass is just absolutely. Oh, it's your girl Rhonda, by the way. This glass is beautiful because I need this drink tonight. And I'm sticking with what I've been sticking with for the past month. I had to make the juice make an appearance. My Dole juice and my rum haven again. This stuff is
She owned it.
delicious.
She
Yeah,
owned it,
I'm gonna
guys.
finish this bottle, then I'll change my drink.
She
Back
owned
to
it,
you,
guys.
JB.
Appreciate you being on, man. I'm telling you. You know, man, tonight I was in a little rush today. My day been a little crazy, but I'm smoking this H. Upman 1844 Connecticut Grupo de Maestros. If I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, y'all, somebody reach out to me and tell me how to pronounce it. I got that tonight. Of course, guys, I went back to my tried and true, my bullet. And so for all y'all that don't believe it, I gotta keep letting y'all know that I got my bullet here. So we about to jump into this thing because when me and Rhonda were talking about the podcast, I said, let's do this week because I got a couple calls on this and asked me to discuss it.
Mhm.
All right, asked me to discuss it. So we ain't trying to be we ain't trying to fix anybody's problems or anything like that. But when people ask me to discuss a certain topic on relationships, I end up discussing it. Now I ain't gonna promise you I'm gonna give you some answers tonight. But what I wanted to do was put this thing on wax. Let's get it out there. Y'all get down in the comment section, man. Let us know what y'all think. But Rhonda, when you got the topic tonight, what was the first thought that came to mind?
In-laws are absolutely ruining your relationship. They're called in-laws for a reason. They should be called outlaws, but that's a whole other story. No, I just think, it can influence a lot of things. Um, I have friends who are married and I'm saying that's why I said last week. An important question is if you're dating out here, you got to ask that person if their parents are alive because it does make a difference in how it's going to affect your relationship. Because if their parents mean anything to them, that means it's always going to affect your relationship in some form or fashion. I think that's when we get into this idea of, ooh, how much time are we spending over here? How much time are we spending over there? That's all an in-law thing because each person have their traditions, so there are different requirements for different things. So yes, in the long run, in-laws always ruin
That's
your relationship.
that's an interesting take. I wasn't expecting that. I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting that, but y'all know, man, what I had to do when I was doing research for this podcast, because y'all know I get into the details on these things. But before we even got into it, Rhonda, the first thing I said was your in-laws are not ruining your relationship. I'm taking a
Mhm.
different. Your in-laws are not ruining your relationship. Your in-laws are representative of what your relationship already is, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of times the in-laws are piggybacking off of what's already going on. In-laws can be great if you're great, and in-laws can be bad if y'all going through a bad spot, right? So it's not that in-laws are ruining your relationship. In-laws are a mirror into your relationship. In-laws are a mirror into your relationship, Ron. That's where I'm going with it now.
Okay,
Because
I
what I
see.
mean, it's just like money, right? Some things in your life are amplifiers. They're not the root cause of something.
Mhm.
See, in your in-laws are amplifiers.
No, they're root causes.
You think they root cause? Okay, we're gonna have to get into.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. See, I'm taking it a little different. I'm taking
Because
it a little
see,
different as I was doing my research because what I would learn. You know, I got three websites I got to share with y'all, so we got to get through this thing. Now, Rhonda,
oh,
you,
okay.
I
Okay, I'm
got
gonna
three.
hold on.
I got no. If
I'm
you
fighting tonight.
go ahead and get it off your chest now, because
No,
see,
man, this ain't the
I,
place.
my mind had to be renewed on it because what happened, y'all got to understand, man. In the businesses that I'm in, I hear a lot of things, and what I try to do, and I like what you said, Rhonda, the root causes. You start peeling back situations, and a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
didn't get along with the parents of the person when y'all were dating. So the number one thing that happens is when you have children and when, like you said, holidays and all this stuff now that stuff is accentuated. But what'll happen is this. If you're not trying to involve everybody in your relationship, the in-laws can't be a problem. Just like friends can't be a problem. What I had to learn is relationships are very private, but we've made them public. So I'm gonna go there now. Most people who marry use the Bible and use religion as the premise of their relationship. I got
Mm-hmm.
to tell you this, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear of in-laws once somebody became a spouse in the Bible. You don't hear about them no more.
So they
You
not.
can, you
Oh, go
can't tell
ahead.
me you can't tell me Sarah. You can't tell me Sarah's mama name out of the Bible, and she was married to Abraham. You can't tell me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these are some of the things that I would tell you. We don't know. We don't know Mary's mama. We don't know Joseph's mama and daddy. We don't know none of them. So did we get something wrong, and is it an amplifier?
Yes.
Never. Okay, go ahead, Ron. Tell me before I start sharing these websites. Jump in there, Ron, before I start sharing these websites. Can you hear me?
Okay, say that one more time.
I said jump in there before I start sharing these websites.
Oh. You're more than welcome to go ahead on and share them. I was just saying that they were the root cause because when you look at um anything that would come up in people's relationships, a lot of the times it's coming from childhood stuff. I'm always say that. Like we
Yeah.
always bring other stuff in from our childhood and how we were raised and how things were done and done differently and things like that. So that's why I'm here for the in-laws ruining the relationships because it is a direct reflection on what was put into people. Because if you're used to using crying as a mechanism of getting what you want, if you're
Mm-hmm.
used to yelling or that's a learned behavior from somewhere. And then you became an adult and thought that that was still okay, and it's not okay. So in-laws, yeah, ruins all of that.
Okay.
Back to
Okay.
you, JB.
All right. So guys, look, Rhonda, I'm appreciating the perspective. Now you know I got three websites we got to go through. Some of them gonna be redundant. I got three websites
Okay.
that we're gonna go through. The first one I'm gonna share with you guys, and guys, for all y'all, man, anybody who follows the podcast, it's gonna be down in the description. You ain't got the hospital straw tonight, okay? Showing
Mm-mm.
off.
I'm doing purple and gold tonight.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Let me
Plus,
share
I
this
probably
screen.
did like a quadruple shot in this pineapple juice. So I
the
need a
first
stronger straw to stir the drink.
the first article we're gonna go to, guys. 8 signs your in-laws might be toxic.
Mm.
8 signs your in-laws might be toxic. All right, guys. We over here at bustle.com. Bustle.com. Okay. Now, this is an older article. It was updated in 2022. And again, guys, when it comes to marriage, and guys, what? When we talk in-laws, this is whether you dating, married, whatever, right? Don't just think this is
Mm.
limited to marriage. If you were dating somebody, you got in-laws, whether you want to believe it or not, because they probably talk to that person every day, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So here we go. Let me go down here. Relationships with your in-laws can be tricky, and the dynamic varies greatly from family to family. Some accept new spouses into their circles with open arms, while others view significant others as a threat, someone who is there to steal their beloved son or daughter away. But instead of dealing with the lasting effects of tense moments forever, there are some things you can do about it. Dr. Janine Lowry said, right? It's critical to recognize the warning signs of toxic in-laws and be aware of what you can do to stop them from turning you and your partner against each other. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, this is the next sentence. It's important to note, however, that there's a big difference between being toxic and just having different views and opinions. The reason I want to go to this article first, guys, most of y'all who clicked on this probably got a problem with your in-laws. And you're at your wits' end. You probably got to hide that you're watching. You got to hide this from your spouse that you're watching it. Because a lot of us got to, you're keeping the peace, right? So here's how you know if they're toxic. If this is happening, I'm hoping that by the next two articles I share with y'all, okay, that it's going to help improve your in-law relationship and improve your relationship that whatever the in-laws are doing, it doesn't affect you. Okay, so I'm just going to go through these real fast. Number one, they try to turn you and your significant other against each other. Okay, for example, if your in-laws turn everything into a horrible game of he said, she said, it is a solid sign they're bringing some negativity in your relationship with your significant other. Not to mention, it can cause some major and unnecessary confusion between the two of you. Rhonda, when you talk about in-laws ruining relationships, what do you think about number one right here?
Well, that right there should be the number one statement. If there's anybody we don't see clearly, is our parents as children.
Okay.
We have this idea of what our parents are, and then this complete opposite of what they actually are. And so I think this is so important right here, because you could say that, oh, your mom or your dad said this, and then they
Mm-hmm.
would be like, oh no, they would never say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that blind faith that we put in our parents, and not knowing, like, no, these ain't the ones that was raising us when we were two. Now here we are
Absolutely.
30. You
Absolutely.
need to turn on your big guy, big girl glasses and look at stuff like for what it is, because this is a real thing for people.
Oh,
It's a real
absolutely.
thing, and that's why you have to fake in front till you get the ring on. Then you be like, no, I ain't going to the family function today.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, you show up there looking real cute, you know, while
So
you're
true.
dating.
And like I
So yeah,
said, guys,
that's huge.
this article is for all of you guys who are in a position where you're at your wits end with in-laws. And then, like I said, the next two are going to be about things you can do to make it better. Because what you're going to find is my ultimate advice to everybody who's going to be listening to this podcast is just focus on the person you married or the person you're in a relationship with, and the in-law situation will get better by default. Because oftentimes we keep trying to fix everything instead of focusing on the main thing. Or Rhonda say, keep the main thing the main thing. Let's get to number two, because I want to get through these very
Mm-hmm.
quickly. I want to get through. They insert themselves in your decisions as a couple. Again, if y'all are fighting, if y'all are having issues about your in-laws, there are those in-laws that are a little too pushy and involved, but in a somewhat loving and endearing way. However, if your in-laws are involving themselves in your decisions as if their opinion should carry as much weight as yours, then you have a problem. Whether you're discussing which home to purchase or when you should start having children, your in-laws contribute their 2 cents as if they should be casting the deciding vote. Jump in there, Rhonda. What you thinking?
All true.
What you
All
say?
true. Like,
You ain't
no,
fighting?
this is listen, we could take it from the movie Coming to America, or we could take it to our friends in real life who are married. Parents gonna
Mm-hmm.
interfere, man. It's what it is. Parents are gonna interfere because they also have their life that they wanted for you. The life that
Yes.
they want for you, they gonna try to make that happen as much as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so no, you have to know what's between you and your spouse and significant other, and what truly involves your parents, and it should be little to nothing.
Absolutely. And guys, what y'all got to understand is look at these big decisions they're talking about. Buying a home and having children. What you got to recognize, guys, here's the reason why most people are involved. Here's why in-laws are mostly involved in those decisions. You don't have enough money to buy your house, and you're going to need them to keep the kids because you don't have enough money for one of
Hmm.
y'all to not work and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just know, guys, that the borrower is always servant to the lender. So a lot of parents put
Absolutely.
you in a position where you would need them. And I think that's where Ron is going. See, first of all, you shouldn't be getting into these relationships if you're not completely financially free. Because once you start involving your in-laws and you need their time or their money, they're two important resources. They in effect become your god, and you're now beholden to what they want, and now their decisions do matter. So when you hear them say they should cast the deciding vote, if they're giving you money or giving you time, guess who has the deciding vote? You agree with that, Ron?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Absolutely.
let's get to number 3, guys. And again, let me repeat myself. This is for all of y'all who dealing with issues right now. I pointed this article out. Okay. So number 3, here's another thing that's happening. They intentionally make you feel bad. Some folks take more time than others warming up to people, and that's okay. Or maybe your in-laws will never feel 100% about you. However, because they're adults doesn't necessarily mean they're all grown up about it. If your in-laws say and do things to hurt you and intentionally get under your skin, that's crossing the line. But I want to say this before Ron to jump in. The in-laws are doing what your significant other gave them permission to do. Jump in there, Ron. Let me know what you're thinking.
If if this if this is a continuous thing with them intentionally making you feel bad, because I think that's a prominent thing too, with in-laws, because it's almost like you got to go through the stages of grief. Because yes,
Mm-hmm.
you're glad that your son or daughter has someone that they're welcoming into their life, but that also means you're going to have less access to the person that you birthed or gave, or gave life to, or what
Yep.
have you,
Yep.
however they want to look at it. And so one of the ways, again, from the womb, that parents can do this, they know how to make you feel bad. I mean, I think we all do on some level. I know somebody, if it's somebody that gets on my nerves and done something, my word is, oh, I'm disappointed in you. Like
Mm-hmm.
that makes somebody feel horrible. But you don't pull that card all the time. You pull it when it needs to be pulled. But
Yep.
if you're doing it just to get a rise out of somebody, then that's different, man. You don't do that. Don't gaslight people.
Absolutely, guys. And your in-laws are going to be in a position, guys, where if you mad at your significant other, they got to be mad at your significant other. If you happy with your significant other, they got to question why you happy with your significant other.
Yes, Lord.
Right? That's how in-laws work, guys. Because
Housewife.
most people are utilizing your relationship to live vicariously through. So that's why now y'all fighting because of in-laws, when realistically you got to understand some people's relationship has gone bad, and all they can do is make sure your relationship goes bad. It doesn't make them
Mm-hmm.
bad people, but you got to make sure that when you get with somebody significantly, that you are much of a complete person as possible. Because I don't operate in feelings. You can't operate in feelings, and you shouldn't get married until you're not operating in feelings and you're operating in emotion. I know that's harder said than
Yes, it
done,
is.
but there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who relationships didn't work out, so they got to make sure that their child's relationship doesn't work out, or they make sure that they take you through this hazing process to see how much you can actually put up with their child. And I think that's why when you pledge a fraternity, they take you through a process on purpose. And a lot of you guys got to understand that when you're dealing with in-laws, know if it's on purpose as a hazing process, or if it's deliberate to where they're purposely trying to break you up. Okay, let's get to number 4 real fast. Number 4, y'all notice I'm skipping the part where they tell you how to deal. I don't want to go to that
Mm-hmm.
yet. Number 4, they don't respect your space. Okay, they don't respect your space. Perhaps your mother-in-law has made it a habit of dropping by unannounced, or your father-in-law expects to spend every Friday evening with your significant other, even though that's one of the rare nights you actually have time for each other. In-laws that refuse to respect your space as a couple can definitely complicate things. Jump in there, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know what you think.
Of course they do. Again, because again, you're coming into something that traditions and habits have already been created,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so either you're going to fall in line with that, or you got to go,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how
Why you got to hit the high
serious.
note? Why you had to hit the high note?
'Cause that's how
Yes.
real it is, right? And then if you can't get with that, or you can't understand that, that's how arguments start with that particular couple, because it's like, I thought this was us. No, it's y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's not us. It's y'all.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny you say that. It's so funny you say that. Guys, if they were doing this beforehand, you can't have a problem with it if you got into a serious relationship with them, whether dating exclusively or being married. If this was happening beforehand, you can't expect it to change when the
Absolutely.
relationship becomes formal. And I don't really have a problem. I don't really have a problem with this one. I think if you are trying to stop your significant other from doing things that they were doing with their spouse prior to you being there, that's going to be a little bit harder one to do, because every child was not raised to be an adult. Some children were raised to be dependent, not independent. So it's and you said that in the beginning, Rhonda, that they're ruining it because of how they were raised. And if you
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been raised to be independent, now you have to find that out in the dating process and to see if that's somebody you want to be with. Because I think that's one of the biggest issues. Know how your person was raised. Were they raised to be independent of their parents or dependent on their parents?
Look,
Because y'all gonna be
that's a
fighting a
word.
lot. Say what now?
Hmm. I said that's a word.
Oh, really? Okay,
I'm
yo,
so I'm thankful PB and our dad didn't have us to where we had to be up under them or
yeah.
had to be connected to them and all that. That's
Well,
mm-mm.
we guys, if you're an eagle, you get pushed out of the nest, right? Because the nest is so comfortable, the eagle don't want to do it. So the eagle won't fly until it get pushed out of the nest. Some of y'all ain't been meant to be out of the nest, and that's fine as long as you know that. But the worst thing an independent person can do is think that this person they're with is also independent. But if the person has been raised to not leave the nest, that nest is going to be a part of your relationship. That's all I'm saying.
Mm.
Don't get mad at it. Number 5, they continue to treat you like a child. This is a big one, guys. Sometimes it's nice to be treated like a kid again. It's hard to complain about someone cooking you delicious meals or sending you home with cookies. But if your in-laws are making big decisions with you for you, writing off your thoughts is naive, or anything just short of offering to cut your steak into tiny bite-sized pieces, the infantilizing has gone to a whole new level. Jump in there, Ron, and let me know what you think.
Yeah, this is horrible. Like you don't marry. Well, you kind of do, I guess, marry your parents. Like you typically will pick a spouse that's similar to whoever you end up with. But um, no, like I said, if a woman got 2 kids with her husband, she got 3. The husband is the third. It's
Mm-hmm.
just what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so that husband can become that child. Um, and so no, I definitely agree with this. Parents don't know how to stop parenting.
And guess what? They don't want to graduate from parenting, guys. They
Mm-mm.
don't want to graduate from parenting. Always
How
know
they
that.
know they don't trust what they did?
They well, not only do they not trust what they did, but guys, let me tell y'all something. The best feeling in anybody's life is not making a whole lot of money. It's not love. It's not friendship. The best feeling you never want to give up is the feeling of having authority over another person.
Mm,
Nothing is more euphoric than having
baby.
authority over another person. So if your parents are always treating you like a child, it has nothing to do with your development. It has everything to do with once you get taste of authority, you don't ever give it back. That's why I can be 50 years old and my mama gonna still call me her baby son.
Mm.
She ain't giving up that. She's not giving up that authority. How do you? What's the best way to know your mama and your daddy love authority? You call them. You call. Try to call Jeff right now and watch me not pick up. What PD gonna do, Ron?
Call the cops.
None of, see now.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. She'll do that for me. But
She's gonna call. Your mama gonna
well,
call. Your dad gonna call. Because it ain't a problem until you don't pick up for them. They don't
yeah,
care. Call your mama and call. Let somebody call your mama and say, I tried to call Jeff and I ain't been able to get up with him. Oh, I talked to him the other day. Talk to him all the time. They gonna express their authority with you. Okay,
hmm,
that's what it's about, guys. So don't think that they're treating you like a kid. That's how it's going to be represented. But what they're doing is you're probably the only thing they have authority over. Everything else in their life has authority over them. But that child is the one thing they're gonna have in authority. And it's typically a mother thing versus a dad thing. The dad kind of gets involved, but the mother's really involved. Okay.
hmm.
So let's get to number 6, guys. Let's get to number 6. They freeze you out. Now, I think this goes back to the one about if you talking to them about kids and you talking to them about having to get a house. So the in-laws who behave as if you don't exist have to be among the toughest to deal with. They talk about you as if you aren't there. They completely ignore you at family dinners, treat you as you're totally non-existent, and maybe even refuse to see you. Ronnie, what you think about the freezing you out?
Well, I could see that totally happening because this just take it from the standpoint of planning a wedding. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's probably one of the most times that a husband that's the
It's
fiance
frozen up. Yep.
feel yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Like he don't have no decisions in all of this. So then when you find a guy who's actually interested, that throws a monkey wrench into things. But that wedding typically is about that mother and her daughter in a lot of cases. And so you kind of do get free, frozen out and stuff. But If it comes to that after things are official, then you definitely have a real problem. Like that's why I say, man, some stuff marriages should be able to be annulled if stuff drastically changes. Just
Well,
annul that stuff.
marriage, and long term dating, guys. Again, marriage and long term dating, it ain't a whole lot different. One of the reasons you may be long term dating is because the in laws may be the final straw that you're not willing to put up with because other things are going bad in the relationship. But guys, if you're sitting at the table and they acting like you ain't there, that's because you shouldn't be there, right? What they're letting you know is you don't have to come every time he or she comes, right? At the end of the day, guys, when you're dealing with the in-laws, and especially if y'all had children, as long as the person who's their child and the children show up, they don't need you there. Stop trying. Like, if they're freezing you out, guys, it don't mean that they may necessarily hate you, but maybe they just don't want you there because that's their time, right? So stop feeling like both people got to go for the Thanksgiving holiday, for the Christmas holiday, for the Easter holiday. We just had that, right? And we go in the restaurant and the tables of 12 everywhere because all the families got to act like they like each other, right? So they're freezing you out to let you know, hey, send my son or daughter and the kids if there's any, and then leave us alone. You don't have to show up. We're not going to hold it against you. And guys, if that is in the case, don't be texting and calling the entire time. Go enjoy your family as well, okay? Number 7, we getting there, guys. I promise you we getting there. I just want to kind of tap into this. Number 7, Rhonda. They are manipulative. Toxic in-laws are challenging to deal with. They can cause a lot of damage to the relationship. They're usually very selfish and will do anything to get what they want. They are very manipulative, making your partner feel guilty for things like not spending enough time with them, not giving them enough attention, and not giving them enough money. And this one right here got me, right? The manipulative in-law is saying your partner, they make your partner feel guilty for not spending enough time with them, not giving them enough attention, or not giving them enough money. When did the relationship come about giving your in-laws money?
Well,
am I reading that right, Ron? Did I lose you, Ron? You still there?
yes. Repeat what you just said. I missed all of that.
I said I got a problem when it's my job to give. It's my job to make. It's my job. My in-laws are trying to make me feel guilty for things about not spending enough time with them, not giving them enough attention, and not giving them enough money. When did that become part of the game?
Well, I mean, that's when people need to stay out of your pockets. But like, let's just be real, right? You got to wine and dine people, finesse people when you're getting to know them. So you got to put your best foot forward and things like that. So yeah, they feel like your cup running over should run over on them too.
And guess what, right?
And that's all guys.
And that's one of the things you guys are going to realize is that in-laws are no different than people at your job, than your people in your social circles. Everybody can see a window into your relationship when things aren't going well. Why should they not get in on getting what they can get to?
Yep.
Right? So number 8, and then we're going to get out of here. Number 8, okay. They are constantly passive aggressive. Having an in-law be flat out offensive to your face is one thing, but being passive aggressive and belittling is another. Not only is it mean and frustrating, but it's downright childish. What do you think about that, Ron?
Hey, that's a punch you in the throat type of moment. I don't like the passive aggressive type stuff. Like, but again, we don't know people's childhood traumas that they don't know how to grow from or get help with to overcome. And so it doesn't make it right, but sometimes you got to let an MF know that you were MF too.
And she got a shirt with that on it, probably, guys, just to let y'all know.
No, I need one.
But no, again, guys.
But like real talk, that's just the truth.
And I think what y'all got to understand is passive aggressive stuff. The reason why I told y'all about these 8 things is because you have signs that are so blatant that your relationship is bad off, that's the only reason these in-laws can do these 8 things. Y'all need to start looking internally, jumping around. Let me know what you're thinking.
Or your spouse or significant other has said something. Not necessarily, you know how, because sometimes people go through stuff, right? And maybe you done told your mom or dad about it, and then they can't.
Y'all made up, but the in-laws didn't.
Yes, that's why when it comes to stuff like that, you got to stay away from it, because even if they come to you with the worst story possible, you got to let it go because they're going to forgive each other
Yeah.
eventually.
And what happens, guys, is your success or your failure in your relationship is fueling anger or happiness in other people's relationships. Okay. Most of the time it's fueling anger, right? Real Cigar K in the chat said I have to agree that was a
Oh,
word,
my
JB.
Lord.
Hey, look, hey, the podcast
Really?
growing. The podcast growing if I'm
Oh,
saying
my
the word,
God.
right? But one of the things y'all got to understand is your relationship is the window to a lot of people. But in-laws know what's behind the window. That's the problem with in-laws, right? In-laws know the behind the window. So you have this glass house, and the in-laws are hoping that that glass house can be shattered. Why?
Yeah.
What I know about you can shatter this whole house, which means I'm now in authority over you. Remember, guys,
Absolutely.
this is all about having authority over your relationship. And one of the things you'll find is the in-laws never get their relationship questioned. They can only be in yours. So if y'all are here watching this podcast, just know I thought I could get through 3, but I'm only going to be able to get through one more website that I want to go over with this stuff because y'all came here to find out A, are they ruining it? And B, let's try to figure out what we can do about it. Your in-laws are not the enemy. Your relationship is failing and you don't want to say that it's you that's failing. That's where I'm going with it. Because the in-laws need fuel, but you're the only people who can give it the fuel. And y'all got to understand, some in-laws go purposely inject themselves because if y'all happy, especially with black people, ain't nobody that happy. Why do black people say that? Ain't nobody that happy.
Well, because it's the truth.
It may not
It's the truth.
right.
That's why.
What was it people see somebody smile
Who
and
has
ain't
it?
nobody
Who
that
has?
happy.
Yeah,
She
they
ain't
done
happy.
already told them, fix your face before you go in here.
Just like the Easter memes I'm seeing, where these little
What's
kids,
that?
they want to do their speeches. They're being
Yeah,
forced to
you
give
better
a
straighten
speech.
up.
And these
Yes,
kids are not doing their speeches. Easter when I was growing up was Youth Day.
they
Youth
ain't
Day,
scared.
they
They
look,
ain't
they
scared.
telling their parents they ain't gonna do the speech. Really? Y'all ain't gonna do
Yes.
the speech? Okay. Now guys, y'all have seen the 8. Let's go to this
Like they're
next
having
one.
a
I
rough
want.
day today. They're not going to be able to do their
Yeah,
part.
we weren't allowed to have no rough day.
No, you get jacked up by the collar.
Yeah, say the speech I taught you.
That I wrote.
All right. 10 tips. Here we go, guys. Let's get some people some help. 10 tips. All right. We're over here at familyeducation.com. Sorry about that. 10 tips for dealing with in-laws and setting healthy boundaries. Okay? Here's what I'm trying to tell you guys. If your relationship doesn't have healthy boundaries, your job is encroaching on it, your in-laws are encroaching on it, your friends are encroaching on it. It's just not your in-laws. So 10 tips for dealing with in-laws and setting healthy boundaries. Let's jump through this real fast.
Yes.
Rhonda, I'm gonna go through these 10 so I can
Then
pull
we'll
you
talk
back
about
up.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 1, put your marriage first. Jeff has been saying that for how many podcasts, guys? Put your marriage first. Make sure, guys, you signed up to be a husband or wife, and becoming a son-in-law or daughter came with the territory, though, right? But you have to act as a united front when addressing each other's parents. Number 2, enforce healthy boundaries, right? You and your spouse should decide together what boundaries are in your own family. For example, if you value your kids' early bedtime, right? Mama and daddy can't call after the bedtime, right? Even if it's your sister-in-law, even if it's auntie, right? See, this is what they're trying to tell you. If the bedtime is at 8, everybody in your house, everybody in your family need to know. If you want to talk to the kids, you got to call them before 8. Okay? Look at what they say. Is your mother-in-law comes around uninvited every day and you don't enjoy her clinginess, tell her she's welcome every other Friday for dinner and let her know you won't be answering the door otherwise. Now, wait for the divorce papers to show up because I don't want any man to do that. First of all, if you living that close to your mother-in-law,
Do it.
Rhonda wants y'all to get divorced. If you tell
No,
your mother-in-law,
that's an unhealthy attachment. That's an
no,
unhealthy attachment.
I'm gonna
Stop
say this,
for real.
guys. I'm gonna say this, and then Rhonda, you're not gonna jump on this. Rhonda, write this one down now. Don't tell your mother-in-law she can't come every other Friday, okay, and that you're not gonna open the door. What you need to do is tell your wife that I'm not gonna be here every other Friday, so you and your mom can continue to bond. Don't put your wife in that position that says your mother-in-law can't come over. That's just a
Whatever.
different thing. See, Number 3, do not confront in-laws. See, I disagree with this one though, guys. Look, if they didn't got out of pocket, you gonna have to check them.
Yeah,
Now, if
showing
they
up
hadn't,
unannounced is
if
out of pocket.
right now, here's the funny thing: confronting your mother-in-law or your father-in-law or even your sister-in-law sets the stage for drama because it
Yes, it
makes
does.
you out to be the bad guy. Now, guys, they're telling you do not confront them, but if you've asked your significant other to confront them and nothing's happening, and they're getting out of pocket with you, you're gonna have to confront them, guys. You're gonna have to confront them. Let go of expectations. This is the best one. Stop thinking that your mother-in-law and your father-in-law are just like your mama and your father, and we're gonna be one big happy family. Stop thinking that, right? Look at what this says.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us have a picture in our mind of what our father-in-law, mother-in-law will do for us and our children, but that just isn't real life. At the end of the day, we cannot control other people. Okay, number 5, keep you cool. Here's the deal, guys. If y'all are dealing with in-laws, y'all are in a position where neither one of you guys have a separate life outside of your relationship. And I'm not talking about a dark life. I'm just talking about, oh, mother-in-law's coming over to the house to watch the kids. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to Starbucks to just get a cup of coffee and decompress. If you don't have any balance outside of your relationship, this is how in-laws come in and take over your relationship. Keep your cool. Number 6, and all this is going to be in the description, guys, this article. Try to be flexible, right? If you have a good relationship with your in-laws, try to let small infractions slide. If grandma gives your kids too much candy on visits, maybe that's something you can just let go. The point is to try to pick your battles when you can, right? If your in-law situation is not so peaceful, focusing on addressing the issues what matter most while letting less important problems slide. I would tell you guys to ask your spouse, why is this bothering us? Ask your significant other, why are these in-laws bothering us? Do we not have anything else going on in our life that this is bothering us? Because these people were the same way when you were dating, but because you were so focused on the two of you, you didn't care about what other people were saying. How is it that when we get exclusive or when we get into a marriage, now we're letting these people take over our relationship? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, find a way to meet their needs. Find a way to meet their needs, right? Let's say your father-in-law wants to be a part of the house rebuilding. You and your spouse are doing together, but the two of you are enjoying bonding as a couple over this project. In this situation, consider asking your father-in-law to build a new fence. Now you've given him a way to participate, but he can't take over. Okay? Now, I'm a little different with this one. I'm a little different. Find a way to meet their needs. At the end of the day, guys, they're not going to tell you their needs. They're in there taking authority over your relationship. They don't have a need. They just want to be in authority over your relationship. I'm not going to tell my father-in-law to come build a fence. What I got to do is put myself in a position where I got a general contractor doing all this work for me so that me and the person I work can be enjoying our time. See, one of the things you guys got to understand that a lot of this is financial. And the reason why in-laws can take over is because you don't have the finances to live without their time or money. I brought that up earlier. Okay, number 8, avoid hot topics. Avoid hot topics. Y'all know what they're talking about. Politics, religion, and anything else controversial. Avoid this with your in-laws. Now, if you're financially free, you can have any conversation you want to have. And if you're financially free, guys, they going to agree with you. In person. In person. They ain't going to agree with you. They ain't going to agree with you over the phone. All right, number 9, look for common ground. You might have to be intentional about building healthy relationships. Maybe your mother-in-law can teach you an old family recipe and make it a habit to send your father-in-law videos of your kids. Y'all see all this about? Why is all this stuff about kids? Everything is about kids. Y'all see what I'm telling you? In-laws get worse when kids show up. Everybody's trying to make sure that the kid has their imprint. And that's what's putting so much strain on the relationship. And the reason why you married this person is because you were tired of dealing with your parents. And now y'all back to dealing with both of y'all parents. Number 10, and this is the last one. Always be kind. Always be kind. Your kids are always watching. What if you don't have kids? Tell them exactly what you want to tell them. Right? Tell them exactly what you want to tell them. Now, why did I share this with you guys? Let me just get down here to this last one. Extend kind greetings to your in-laws and speak in respectful tones, even if you don't feel like they do the same to you. No one wins if you try to treat others like they treat you. Okay? But here's the thing. I think a person has to get a mirror into how they're treating you in order for things to change. Right? So Why am I going there, guys? Why am I going there? When we're talking about in-law relationships, it's the art of communication, patience, setting healthy boundaries, and a mutual willingness to understand and respect each other's perspective and traditions. What I'm trying to tell you guys is she should have a life without you, that when you're dealing with your family, she doesn't have to be there and there's no condemnation, and vice versa. That fixes all of this, right? That fixes all of this. Well, I'm going to get in there. Let me tell me what you think about this article.
No, you could have just said always be kind, and we could have not went over all the other ones. Because kindness, the only reason I say that is because kindness as a rule means that I already know how to set healthy boundaries
Mm-hmm.
while still being respectful, right?
Yep.
And so it encompasses all of these things, but you you have to stand up for yourself or set the tone for how your in-laws are going to treat you, whether that's you by yourself or you guys as a couple, and that's huge. And it's great when you see in-laws and their children's spouses get along great.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's very great. But we also know that's not the norm. And if it is, there's probably some hidden family secret or
Get,
something. It's
but
always something.
but Rhonda, I think I agree with what you're saying. But one of the things that's happening, guys, is get your money right first. Do everything y'all want to do with each other before you start having kids. Right? Do everything you want to do before you start having kids so you don't have to ask your parents to be involved with these kids. Okay?
Mm.
Make sure, guys, make sure that your parents are there as a courtesy, not as a necessity. Because again, guys, y'all got to understand. Back when we were born, there was no Family Medical Leave Act and all that kind of stuff. I got put with my grandmother pretty much right out of the womb because my mom had to go back to work. Now, at that point, once she's keeping me, grandma has the authority over the house. Because if my mom and daddy don't do what she say, guess what they got to do? They got to stop working and keep me. Some of y'all have
Mm-hmm.
had kids prematurely. Some of y'all have gotten married prematurely. And some of you guys have created. God, dog.
Sorry
That,
about
good,
that.
that thing ain't good, is it? Some of y'all need them to bail you out of a financial situation because you can neither afford marriage nor afford kids. In-laws can wreak havoc if you have kids. Just look at the articles I'm putting there. Whether you're dating exclusively or whether you're married to somebody. But the biggest problem is y'all are just trying to buy time to get somebody to help you, and you've turned to your in-laws, and now here's what happened. Now my mama got to have her time if your mama got her time. My daddy got to
Absolutely.
have his time if your daddy got his time. Now the parents and in-laws competing against each other, and it's just dumping down on you. Jump in there, Ron, and let me know what you think.
No, it's true. You just when you don't know because maybe you haven't gotten to that point of independence and how to maneuver with your in-laws. It sucks to be at the mercy of somebody. That's no fun. Like, who wants to do that? Like,
But that's what in-laws
there's
are.
I know that's what I'm saying though, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with having reverence for who your in-laws are. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, nobody should rule over you like that. Like, if that's what you're gonna do, then you should not even be ready to get married or have somebody serious.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, the word tells you to cleave to your wife. Like, that's who like your in-laws and so kind of fall to the wayside. But because society has been Americanized to say, like, oh no, this is what we have to do. You got to do
Yeah.
this, and they have to,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been plenty of movies out there on the subject of just how you deal with different types of in-laws. But at the end of the day, in all those movies, people always have to stand up to
Look,
that person, to that
look,
in-law, to say, like,
look,
no, this is what we're doing.
guys,
So just do
fix.
that in the beginning.
You got to do it. You got to do it in the beginning, guys. That look. Here's the deal. Whenever you think it's ready for a person to meet your parents, wait another 6 months.
Mm.
Don't prematurely introduce people to your parents because the in-laws gonna make every decision about you from the first time they meet you.
Well, there'll be a whole baby involved by then.
Well, no, not necessarily, right? Not necessarily. I think where a lot of people are struggling. I think where a lot of people are struggling is, Rhonda, you said something earlier. How I view my parents. I can't look at them through a
Oh
objective
yeah.
prism, right?
You
So I
can't.
now, before I get this person to meet my parents, I'm telling you everything about my parents. I'm prepping you for this visit. Well, now I've given them complete authority that it's okay. Because basically what I'm telling you to do is don't say nothing back when they say this. They gonna
Yes.
say this. They gonna do this. They gonna cook this, right? They gonna offer you this. I need you to put up with it because I just need you to make a good impression,
Because mm-hmm.
right? And now you're not making a good impression. You are giving up your authority.
Absolutely.
And that's what's happening, guys. That's why the in-laws are not your problem. You are your problem because you put your relationship second to get the validation and authority because we want to get married, we want to have kids, we need them to pay for the wedding, and we need them to watch these kids. Take out if you don't need them to pay for your wedding, and if you don't need them to watch your kids because you got a whole system in place. That's why,
Yeah.
guys, that's why middle class and poor families hate nannies. Why? Because they can't lord over you. The in-laws can't lord over you if you got a nanny. The in-laws can't lord over you if you say, man, I ain't coming home Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July. I ain't coming to it. Right? And now with social media, you ain't got to go home. How are your in-laws eating your lunch? They can see them kids on FaceTime. They can see each other on FaceTime. And guess what, guys? The more your in-laws don't see y'all together, the better that relationship is. Because by that time, you realize her parents are her responsibility and my parents are my responsibility. And once you can get to that level of maturity, everything changes. So, guys, y'all got to stop hating your significant other's parents. They're not the problem. You lost focus of your significant other. And if you can focus on your significant other, magically, the parents back down because they say, man, they over there doing something I want to do. I wish somebody would focus on me like that. What do you think when you hear that, Ron?
Well, no, we know firsthand that could be an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like you snickering and giggling with somebody else,
Chinning and grinning.
shinning and grinning. I'm sorry, in the words of the real cigar cat. And you know what I'm saying? Like you kind of like when people see that they don't like that. Like what you?
Mm-hmm.
Why you so? Why you so happy? So they're gonna do. Like I said, we know that firsthand. Like
Mm-hmm.
they see that they want to tear all of that up. That's why you got to know whoever you do share intimate details of your relationship with, that they are your cheerleaders for real, and they're also able to see both the good and the bad and to let you know when that's what's happening and when it isn't. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
people out here, they'll be ready to sabotage whatever you got going on, and you could have a crackhead mama and you still ain't gonna see your mama as a crackhead mama.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because guess what? I'm glad you said that, Ron. The way I see my parents are through a prism of perfection,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
that's a lie.
And that's a lie. And guess what? It's not your parents' job to tell you it's a lie. It's for you to discover it that's a lie. And that's why relationships are struggling so much, right? The number one thing is if you got a problem with your in-law, figure out how you can love their child more. You fix loving their child and you ain't gonna have no problem with their in-law. Why? Because here's the deal, guys. If I gave you $100,000 right now, how would you spend your Christmas? And I can
Not
guarantee you the
there.
answer wouldn't be going to your
Not
family
there.
house.
Right.
Right? Right? This is what happens. If I didn't need you to keep the kids, if I wasn't trying to live up to tradition and I didn't have any issues, would we have any problems with the in-laws? And the answer is no. Right? I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
y'all like this. The first thing I ever had to do that was tough for me was not going home for every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not going home for every little thing, even though you can. And the reason being, guys, is your tradition is waiting for you. Your tradition is trying to break up your relationship. Your tradition is not trying to keep your relation together because your relationship is based on struggle. So your tradition want to make sure y'all struggle so much that y'all break up. And then as soon as y'all break up, them same people gonna tell you, well, you can't keep no house together anyway. See, there's no winning in tradition, guys. And that's what I would tell you. If you listening to this podcast, go in and say, I need to focus on the person I'm with versus the issues that we're having with the in-laws. Because Rhonda's right. Rhonda's right from her perspective that the in-laws are ruining your relationship because the in-laws are icing on the cake. The cake already bad. Just because you put some nice little Dunkin' Hines on it and some sprinkles, you can't. If that pound cake stale, it don't matter. I put icing on it, right? And this ain't like stale bread where I can make bread pudding. Okay, that's what. See, that's what I'm saying to you guys. Are you making bread pudding? And guess what? The in-laws know that relationship bad. That's why they pouncing. Because they got to make sure their child is going to land on their feet at your expense. Ron, what's your closing thought for the night as we get ready to get out of here?
Like, don't believe the lies, man. Don't be manipulated by in-laws who wish they had something new to celebrate in their relationship. Just to ruin yours and your good thing that you may think you have, which you'll find out years later will be a lie. But that's a whole nother story. But don't let them ruin your new part. Don't let them ruin your new part. In the beginning.
Hell no. Robert just said she just you gonna find out later on that it was a lie. And that's the hardest part. When you find out it was a lie, you can't apologize. You just gotta act like it didn't. Let's just move on.
Yeah, we gotta make it past this hump.
Yeah, we gotta make it past this hump. And I think y'all gotta start recognizing that, man. My closing thought is, don't forget who you love. Remember, guys, he who angers you controls you. Your in-laws are capitalizing off of the anger that your significant other has towards you. Because your significant other told your in-law. And she was just venting, but the in-law don't take it as venting. The in-law is like, pull up on me.
That's information, yes.
Yeah, pull up on me. Oh, look, he treating you like... The in-law got to end up... The in-law never forgets it, guys. So what I got to do is I got to love the person that I'm in I got to love the person more. I got to figure out how we can spend time together more. And what I would tell you guys, if y'all want to fix your relationship, my takeaway from tonight, tell your spouse, we're going to go a whole year without dealing with in-laws. If you have kids, let the kids go to the in-laws without you. But you're going to go 12 months without dealing with your in-laws. And what I mean by that is physically seeing them. Physically seeing them, right? You can talk to them on the phone all day. But everything we would have done with the in-laws, we going to plan something for us. And watch what happens to your relationship. Because all that happened is you started neglecting each other. You got out of balance. Y'all don't spend time to each other. And y'all ran to the arms of your tradition, which is your mama and your daddy and your sister and your cousin and your auntie and all this kind of stuff. Toxicity waiting on you. Yeah. That's why I told y'all why toxic relationships are the best relationships. Get down in the playlist, you'll see it. But the time you were going to spend with your in-laws, just to show you from my perspective that it's not your in-laws, is that you've neglected your house. The first house you got to take care of is your house. And if you start taking care of your house, everybody's going to respect you outside of your house. Okay? You got to take care of home first. Sweep around your own back door. And that's what you guys got to recognize, man. And y'all know what it is. It's a Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you hadn't already, mash that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications so you get alerted every time we drop one of these banging videos, man. Get down in the comment section. That really helps us with the algorithm, man. Tell us what your thoughts are about dealing with in-laws. Tell us what your horror story is. Create a burner account. Get down there and tell us why you can't stand your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, so don't nobody know is you. Y'all know I gotta thank my A1 from day one. It's the Family Affair edition. Yes, let them know again where they can find you at on the socials.
You can find me on IG at RMBLMBT.
Man, appreciate you being on. And of course, y'all know y'all can find me on Instagram at The Real Cigar Jeff, on Facebook at Smoke Something, Drink Something Podcast. You're on YouTube at Smoke Something, Drink Something Pod C, man. Again, get down in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Share this with a family member or friend. And until next time, we gon' holler. Man.